welcome to MG number 263. This is the live stream AD&D Game 2, Session 30, the Drew Baye campaign, and welcome back, Mr. DM.
Yay!
Glad to be back.
Back in the
Excited
saddle.
to get this rolling again. It's been a few months.
It has. Let's get you focused there. There you go.
All right, so where to begin? I guess where we left off. The last time the party had gone into a labyrinthian set of ruins, tunnels, hidden dens, and storage spaces underneath Jorvik. That was the hideout of these werewolves that had been plaguing the city, led by the thief Sled, who the party had nearly killed not too long before. He was in pretty bad shape. Yes, Sled had been. I think he had his teeth smashed in by
among other things.
I can't remember. I know you burned him.
I set him on fire.
You set him on fire. I think Dane kicked his teeth in. It might have been Dane or it might have been Bjorn. I don't remember who did it.
Oh, it was Dane. That was all Dane.
He did try to pick your pockets, though, if I remember correctly.
Then he wanted his key back.
Yes. The Jarl had his hand cut off as punishment for multiple thefts and other crimes that he was wanted for, but then put him in your charge because he was familiar with the tunnels beneath the city, being a thief and having used those to get around. And then when your group had visited the Wizard's Tower, whose name escapes me at the moment, but it's in my notes here somewhere, the wizard had remembered Sled because Sled had attempted to break into his castle or his tower on multiple occasions previously. And Sled got a little bit lippy, and the wizard, whose name I'll just look up later, cursed him, causing his mouth and anus to switch places. So now he's got an anus on his face, and he talks out of his ass. And so far, that curse has not reversed itself. So he's taken to wearing a mask and hood to cover his face. Now, I got to finish. And he eventually led the group to a den where you encountered, I think, over a dozen of the werewolves, including the werewolf leader, and a pit containing this massive demonic undead werewolf. The spawn, and I know if people here know their mythology, yes, it's pretty messed up. The spawn of Hel and Fenrir. So yeah, little inbred demigod undead demon wolf thing. Just a massive abomination. And you did manage to defeat it after a long and bloody battle, and after the dwarf suffered some pretty severe physical and psychological trauma after making the mistake of attempting to use a love potion on an evil, malicious demigod. And he's still recovering from that. But you did defeat them, and unfortunately you were not able to save the other prisoners. Their wounds were too bad, and they could not be healed. And I think you may have burned one or two of them to death by accident in the process of the fight. But you also came back with a ton of treasure that these werewolves, who were mostly thieves and beggars, had also been stealing from their victims. And I don't know if I sent you the list of all of that loot, but I know I did roll it up. It might have been in an older message.
You did not send us that. No, not from
I need to find it
not from
because
the Lycanthrop's underground ruined catacombs that we just finished. No.
because there would have been some sweet magical loot in there.
Although one of the werewolves, the leader, kind of got away. And
he got out that door.
Right, and I sent Bent to follow him to wherever he goes to go to ground, and then report back to us with where it's at. So that's where that was left.
Okay.
As far as
you haven't heard back from Bent yet.
Okay.
Also, in the days in between, Sled managed to slip away. So he's out there somewhere, but he's not going to be hard to spot unless he tries to stay out of public. So
which hand was cut off? His main hand?
I believe it was his right hand that was cut off.
All right, so he's going to have a hard time stabbing people with the left one.
Yes. So be aware that he may still be coming for his key because he does believe that you still have it, and he does want to. Well, he believes that, but
he believes it. Yeah. He's not sure 100%.
And in the days in between, fucking dog, get the fuck out of here.
How dare you, dog?
Well, he's trying to climb on me, and I get the thing charging here.
Oh.
In the days this is not the time. He can go get attention from somebody else. In the days in between, the city has been relatively calm. Business as usual. There have been no murders in the night, no deep ones or fish folk harassing any of the ships in the port. Only some smoke on the horizon to the east, northeast, around where those goblin bands had been terrorizing some of the.
Does it look like it? Does it look like from that smoke that they're coming further inland?
Little by little.
All right.
And by the amount, it also appears that their numbers may be increasing. There may be multiple goblin bands that are joining up with those. So still keeping their distance. They're still a ways away. Of course, the Jarl has rangers, has people patrolling the countryside, keeping an eye on them. And from the sounds of it, they're sticking to the smaller, less defended villages. But also because of this, you do have a little bit of an influx of more people coming into the city. And recently, from the north, a caravan came into the city, a traveling entertainment troupe of sorts with massive wagons.
The north?
From the north, yes. Massive wagons. And they had something like that, but a little more violent. They had cages full of what appeared to be slaves. They had a couple bards riding some of these and singing. And as soon as they got into the town, these bards spread to every corner of the city and started telling of all the wondrous things that you would see if you were to go to their show that they're putting. And this is just outside of the north of the city, a spectacle like you have never seen. And they have been digging and arranging all of these wagons that they've brought. And now, on it's the 5th or 6th night after defeating the werewolves, or most of the werewolves, and that beast, because of what you have done for Jorvik, you are the honored guests of the Jarl at the opening night of this. I don't know. I guess circus would probably be the closest thing that we could call it.
Something wicked this way comes.
Mm-hmm.
So there are benches arranged almost like bleachers, heights around this huge pit in the earth. And in
My spell
is probably about 20-something feet deep and probably about 50 feet across. At first, you see nothing special. There's just the type of juggling and acrobatics that you've seen from elves and halflings in smaller establishments all over. There are some very talented bards who perform for the crowd as all of this is going on. Of course, drinks are being served, and an illusionist of somewhat moderate talent does a presentation, a story, talking or basically with illusions, telling of the coming of Ragnarok, and goes through all of that. And everybody's pretty entertained. People are getting a little bit drunk. Bjorn,
Yes.
Oh,
having that gift of sight from Odin,
sight beyond sight.
sight beyond sight, notices something. He gets a hint of a curse, and it starts to catch glances of Sled making his way around through the crowd, and he appears to be picking pockets and purses. And I don't know, do you want to do anything about this? Right now, he is probably about 30, 40 feet away in the audience, and he is making his way in your direction, and he does not see any of you. Now, it is
We're not, and Robert's the only one that sees him, right?
so far. Yes.
Or Bjorn.
Okay.
Okay.
Who of our group is around me? I'm assuming
Only the PCs of the players that are present, except for AJ's. You haven't seen him yet. He is
okay.
You're going to.
Yeah, I'm never far from Bjorn's side.
The rest have gone to relieve themselves or to find some more mead. And maybe they'll wander their way back over this way soon. They may have been distracted by some of the fair maidens in the city, of which there are plenty.
All right.
So,
Without being very dramatic about it, as far as literally pointing, I will inform Ulfr and Dane, if he's nearby, as to how Sled is dressed and where he's at, and the fact that he's moving toward us. And are there by chance any of the Jarl's men, the guardsmen nearby?
the Jarl's men are spread all around.
Okay.
And especially
is there one near me?
There's about a dozen sitting in and around you because you're with the Jarl and his wife.
Okay. I will inform one of the guardsmen as to what's going on and who it is, and that it's a criminal that the Jarl had punished, and that he's currently picking pockets, and that perhaps he and some of his men should maybe move that direction and get around behind him just to herd him toward us so that we might be able to take him into custody again.
The Jarl motions to one of his guards, comes over and whispers, and you see several of them discreetly start walking off into the crowd and spreading out. So they are moving in his direction.
Okay.
And if you're still watching Sled, he doesn't seem to notice. And suddenly, though, there is a build-up, a crescendo of the music that the bards are playing, and they have various instruments, drums, lute. What is that hurdy-gurdy or whatever the hell string thing? Although that might not have been around in 1000. Stringed and wind instruments and drums that are period appropriate. We'll just go with that. Okay. And they're building this music up. And the master of ceremonies or main bard, whatever you call him, calls to everybody to now, for the main course, the main event. And you can see now down into the pit, they've lit torches by what appear to be large iron gates on 4 sides. And these are the ends of some of these massive wagons that they brought in. The massive wagons were put down in channels around the pit so that these gates open up into the pit. And they open the gates on the far side and the near side. And you can see now a bunch of men in pretty ragged, pretty battered looking leather armor, some scale, pieced together. It's pretty shoddy, being forced out of these gates into the center. And they are currently unarmed. Mm-hmm. And you notice one of them stands out. And AJ, you describe what the audience sees as your character, your barbarian, is coming out of one of these gates into the center of this pit.
Oh, damn. You're muted.
My bad. So this barbarian comes out into the middle. He's blonde-haired, got a little bit of peach fuzz on the face, probably about 6'1", 190 pounds of just pure solid muscle, just screaming because he's angry. He's finally out of the cage. He's gone a little berserk.
Nice.
The others are giving you a lot of space, trying to get away from you. And as you are all moving out towards the center, kind of being herded by some of the people with this circus caravan, 2 come down in with these almost like wheelbarrows and open up these chests on them and start tossing axes, clubs, flails, swords, knives, nets, spears, shields, all of this stuff around the outside. They're going like at opposite sides around, just tossing these weapons out and then going back into the cages or go through the gates on the far and near sides. And the music stops, and the master of ceremonies then says, "Place your bets, because only one survives, and that man wins his freedom."
Uh-oh.
And yes, and there are, well, let's see how many there are total. I should have rolled this up ahead of time, but it's always kind of exciting to find out on the fly. In addition to, and Sigismund, was that your barbarian's name? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Sigismund.
Sigismund is one of 16 So instead of playing out this whole melee, I'll briefly describe what is happening initially.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I want to lean in to Bjorn and ask him if there's any way we can, like, he could discreetly bless one of the contestants so that we can make a sizable wager on the outcome. I feel like that would be a good investment.
We're going to double our money here.
Yeah.
I kind of smirk over at Dane and go, my friend, I think you were reading my mind. If he gets even remotely close to me, there's something about the cut of that one that I think if he earns his freedom, we might be able to put him to use.
Always bet on the handsome one.
How close is he to me?
So this thing is about 50 feet around, and you are right up front with the Jarl. There is a space, maybe about 5-6 feet around it, where the other entertainers have been walking around and performing for the crowd, but probably within about 30 feet, because he's right in the middle.
Okay.
So the 25-foot radius and another 5-6 feet. And
you
guys are front and center. You get front row seats for this.
All right. And you said, well, since we're special guests and since we're right up front, I'm going to stand and kind of jump into the circle and move toward the crowd of men and have my hammer held high. And I'll start yelling out that all those gathered in glorious Jorvik, in the eyes of your mighty Jarl, who has brought peace and prosperity to you, we, the heroes who have come from afar, bid you welcome to this great festival. We call forth to the mighty gods of Asgard to watch over and enjoy this spectacle as we enjoy it in the audience. And I'm playing to the crowd using, although I've only got a 14 charisma, but still.
So good.
I'm using my 21 wisdom to amp it up, to like, this would be a good choice of phrase. And I move toward the men and I'm calling forth on Almighty Thor, my patron, whose hammer I wield in his service, but also not forgetting, in talking of Thor, Odin's son, to remember his father, the All-Father, the mighty Odin, whose blessings have followed us and whose adventures we have shared, and da-da-da-da-da, and on and on and on. And when I get near him, I reach forth, and once he's within range and kind of away from anyone else, I look at the berserker and I'll cast bless on him.
And then he winks.
And then I tell him, remember this day, I, Bjorn, cleric Thor, am watching you, and what you do this day, the gods will see. And then I'll wave to the crowds and march back to our seats.
As you jump down in, at first, the MC announcer the carnival leader or whatever looks confused, and he's
Barker.
looking around, and the Barker, there you go. And the bards are just like, what do we do? And then he just motions to them to kind of play up. And so as you are addressing the crowd, the bards kind of accompany you, and they build the music up as you build up in excitement, and the crowd absolutely eats it up. They are just going completely nuts. And then there is a commotion, and you notice one side, a couple of the guards, the Jarl's guards, and they motion over they gesture to the ringleader, and they throw this robed, hooded figure down into the pit as well. And they just point to him, and the guy's like, all right. And he looks up, and you see the bottom half of his face is covered with this mask. And what the rest you can see is horribly burned and disfigured. And coins and jewelry.
Sled gets his
And
comeuppance.
all the stuff spills out from where he fell, coming out of pockets and pouches and other things in this cloak that he's wearing.
Well, if it isn't my little buddy Benny.
I was thinking something similar, Vince.
Right?
Yeah. Trust me, if I hadn't just
And-
used a bless spell, I would use move over to him and use a curse and do the reverse and use it as a curse. But oh
Right.
well. AJ needs the blessing more than Sled needs the curse because he's doing pretty well at screwing up his own life.
Right.
And just as that happens, there is a loud grunt and a bang as something massive slams into the gate on that side.
Oh, shit.
And you see a massive paw crash against the bars, and claws that look like they're 8-9 inches long go out and just barely miss Sled where he is lying. And he gets up, stumbles forward a ways, starts to scream, and just begins to look around, kind of confused as to what's going on. And then he sees you and starts just looking around frantically for a way out.
And for the exit.
He runs for the gate on the far side and starts pulling on that and is pushed back in by some people behind there. And as this is happening, all of these slaves, barbarians, humans, there's a few dwarves, there's what looks like maybe a half-elf in there, all begin running for the edges where all of these weapons are laid out. What does Sigismund do? Is there a particular weapon that you grab? And whatever you think of, it's probably sitting somewhere. You probably spotted it because you would have noticed as they were doing this. So what weapon do you go for?
The first weapon Sigismund goes for is going to be the hand axe.
All right. I want you to roll a d6.
3.
Okay, good. As you are going for, actually, I shouldn't give anything away. As you are going for a hand axe, another one of the prisoners is going for it at the same time. Big, burly, dark-haired, shaggy, bearded guy, and you manage to grab the hand axe just an instant before he is able to get his hand on it. And you have a solid grip. He does not. And so what do? You have it in your right hand, and he is almost sort of reaching across in front of you. So his right arm is just across. So if you actually might have.
And just so you know, AJ, while Drew's doing that, Bless was cast on you. That means that your morale is a +1 right now. Also, it raises your to hit die roll by +1. So
I don't have an axe here. I do have a femur. So if you're holding the axe like this, his arm is like across in front of you. So he's like right here. This is an actual human femur. This used to belong to the biomechanics expert Stanley Plagenhoff. Long story, I'll save for another time. But it's a handy prop.
I think we want to know, honestly. It's good.
So he's got.
Yes.
So I have the axe in my right hand, and his arm is right going for it.
You have a firm grip on it. You grabbed it just as he was trying to go for it. So you have a firm grip on it, and he has just got his hand around it, just a little bit higher on the handle. But his arm's like right in front of you.
Okay. I want to give that handle a quick jerk in to pull him in, and then headbutt him.
Roll a d20.
and remember, you have a +1.
Ugh, with a +1, it's a 4.
Or as you pull him in and try to headbutt, you slip a little bit and your head just glances off of him. He's able to roll with it. Doesn't do too much damage. And he attempts to then bite you on the arm, but you are able to pull away, so all he's able to do is just scrape a little bit of skin. What do you do next?
So he's pretty much, has he let go of the axe at this point, or is he still holding on for dear life?
He's still holding on to it, but you got it away from him a little bit. What is your strength again? I think it was like 17.
Yeah, 17 strength.
You wrench it out of his hand. So yeah, he did lose his grip on it at that point.
All
So
right.
now you have the axe. He doesn't.
I want to attack him.
Roll the d20 again.
With +1, 17.
All right, and roll. I think for a hand axe would be let's do a d6 for that.
1.
And you should be. Oh shit! You should also have a decent strength bonus though. Let me go back. Actually, I've got it here. I printed it out.
Yeah. But
So the axe just grazes him, and it does make a shallow gash, and he steps back. He sees a shield not too far away, and he is going to dive for it, and he just misses. As he is attempting to grab the shield, somebody else snatches it away. All around you is chaos. Everybody stabbing, hacking, hewing, biting, punching, and kicking each other, and the crowd is absolutely going nuts. So now this guy turns back towards you, unarmed, and he's just rushing you. What do you do?
he's charging me.
He's charging you.
I'm going to charge right back at him.
Roll d20. Gonna just barrel him over, attack him with the axe, punch him, kick him. What do you want to do?
With the +1, it's 10. I'm going to be charging him with the axe, getting ready to swing at him.
Do we?
That would hit. Make an attack roll. This guy is not wearing crap. He's just got some furs and shit on, so not too great an armor class.
So that was the D6, right?
Yep.
That was a 5 + 1 again, I think. Is my hit adjust?
Okay. This time, you sink that axe deep into his shoulder, and he howls out, and you can just feel the hot breath and spittle and smell the sour gruel that they'd been feeding you as they brought you down from where they unfairly ambushed and captured all of you up in the north. And as you are cutting into him, the guy with the shield behind him bashes him in the head, and as he drops, now you see this dwarf standing behind. He's got a shield and a short sword, and he attacks you and misses just barely. You just managed to move out of the way, and you can feel him take some of the whiskers off. What do you do?
I'm going to go ahead and attack him back with the axe, just swinging it. He's a dwarf. I'm going to swing hard and low.
That. And roll d20.
It's a 1.
1. And
It's like the worst blessing of all time.
What Yeah.
the fuck?
yeah, what's going on? So
I keep thinking, I imagine how bad he'd be doing if I hadn't blessed him. Jiminy.
So he just ducks and rolls under it and comes up behind you. Not a good situation. And for everybody up in the stand, you can now see that Sled has also managed to pick up a dagger, and he has stabbed and actually killed 2 people so far, and is pretty much, he waits until 2 people are fighting, and then stabs one of them in the back and then goes to another group of people fighting. So Sled is basically backstabbing people as they are occupied fighting other people. And right now, from the original 16, there are about 10 that are still alive. So the crowd is getting worked up. You can hear cheers and you can hear groans as some of the fighters fall when the big burly guy that had originally attacked Sigismund dropped. You could hear, a bunch of people sound like they were not thrilled with that, probably lost quite a few silvers, maybe some gold. Who knows what they're betting. But as the dwarf rolls behind Sigismund, that big hairy guy isn't dead, and he grabs the dwarf's ankle, and the dwarf also falls. So now Sigismund has the first guy lying on the ground in front of him, bloodied but not dead yet, holding the ankle of the dwarf who just tripped as he was moving behind. So what do you do?
This is gonna be messed up. Can I attempt to curb stomp? I'm gonna attempt to curb stomp the dwarf.
Yes, you can do that. And add 4 to your roll because he is prone and he is being held. So he does not have as much of an ability to get out of the way.
Okay. Rolling 20. 19 with the 4.
All right, roll for damage. And you know what? We'll just, normal, I think it'd be a D4 for this, but just.
D6 it still? Or
D4 for me. I think you know what? You're a barbarian. I'm going to make a judgment call because I'm not going to look it up in the book right now. We'll say D6 for now. I'll check it later. I think it's a 4, but we'll go with a 6 because that's more fun.
Let me try that again. Roll down. That is a 6.
So you turn, bring your foot up, and drop it down, slamming it into the back of this dwarf's skull. And you can hear the crunch and feel the back of his skull give way beneath your heel and just cave in. And, there's the edges of the bone scraping your heels and your ankles as it sinks into his brain in the back of his skull, and blood and brain matter spray out around your foot and ankle. He is dead, absolutely dead. And as this is happening, the other guy is beginning to stumble to his feet. He's trying to get up, but slowly, because he is in really bad shape between the axe wound from you and being hit over the back of the head with the shield from the dwarf. What do? He's on his hands and knees. He's not all the way up yet.
I'm going to reach for the shield off the dwarf. Because Sigismund just like, after stomping the dwarf's brain in, and then he's going to reach for the shield.
Takes you a second to do that. You still have time to do an attack if you want.
All right. I'm going to, as the guy's starting to get up, Sigismund's going to walk over and just pretty much bash him with the shield.
Okay. Roll a d20.
Three. Plus 1.
As you bring the shield... Sorry, say again?
I said it'd be 4 with the blessing, if the blessing's still on.
As you bring the shield down, he manages to roll out of the way at the last instant, and you slam the shield into the ground where he was just moments ago. And as you see this playing out, as everybody in the audience is watching this, now we are down to, there are 6, actually 7 others, because Sled is in there, And now 2 of these fighters are angling towards Sled. I guess they kind of figured out what he's doing. And suddenly the music starts to come up, and you see the barker announcing, and he's pointing and telling people issuing some commands, and the gates on the side begin to open, and you hear these 2 massive roars. I need to move my notes over here for this. I mean, just absolutely deafening. And these 2 enormous bears, the biggest you have ever seen, come barreling out of the sides of this. And you can see that they have chains, some sort of a harness around their neck and torso. And those chains lead back into the partially buried caravan things, the wagons that they brought them in. And these bears, these harnesses look like they're covered with layers of heavy boiled leather scales, as well as their heads. So these are massive, shaggy, brownish gray bears. Paws like this, claws like 9 inches long, just massive, covered in what appears to be boiled leather armor with little spikes projecting from it. And as these are coming out, a few of the men that were a little too close to the sides end up being just battered and knocked almost halfway across this thing. And one of them, see the bear come down and slam it into the ground with this massive paw and bite down. And just the bite, this thing's head is so large that the bite crunches through their body. And with the paw that's on the ground, it's holding down the shoulders and head, and it just pulls up, and you just see these legs flopping around out of its mouth, and this massive spray of blood. And Sled just manages to slip out around and behind this thing, so it did not notice him. So now you've got, what is it now? 5 people left in the middle, including Sigismund, and these bears are just slowly moving in, and then you hear almost like a shudder and a clanking as the chains reach their limit. So there's now about a 10-foot space in the middle of this area that these bears can't get to, that all of the men are now confined to. So you've got each other, and you have these massive bears to deal with. Bjorn, you notice something.
Okay.
Sled has gone into, on the other side, the let's call it the west side, bear cage.
Okay.
He's stuck into there. The bears and everybody else.
All right. I will tell one of the guardsmen with me that way, and start pointing that direction toward the bear cage, trying to get the wranglers and stuff to notice that one of their prisoners has escaped, or is trying to, by going into the bear cage.
As this is happening, now Sigismund, you are now there with these 5 other guys. Everybody's kind of looking back and forth between each other and these bears, and nobody's sure what to do. Do we keep fighting each other? Do we fight these things? Nothing is being spoken, but you can see everybody kind of feeling out the situation and glancing back and forth, trying to stay just out of reach of these things, and then looking around and see what else is on the ground nearby. And other than you just have a little, just where you almost got bit. These other guys are in kind of bad shape. Looks like they're a little bit more bloodied and in a little bit of a panic. So what do you do?
So the character is chaotic neutral. So like the announcement made it said that whoever is last standing is the winner and gets their freedom. I'm going to start shoving the guys towards the bears.
They never said anything about having to kill the bears. All right, so roll a d20. Actually, sorry, first roll a d6. Keep that d20 roll, but roll a d6.
So the d6 is a 3, and that was a natural 20.
All right, yeah, you got initiative on that. So you shove the nearest guy back, and this guy's of moderate build. He's not as large, not as muscular, and he gets, as you shove him, he comes up off of his feet and back, and you can see in his last instant this just look of complete shock, and a huge claw comes across, and he's going back off of his feet through the air. Look of surprise. When the paw hits him, his body just goes sideways in the air, and his neck just crunches. And so he's sideways for a second in the air, and then as he hits the ground, the bear comes down on top of him and just bites down. And at the same time, on the opposite side, these 2 guys are wrestling, trying to push each other towards the bear. Somebody else attempts to roll a 1, attempts to shove you, trips, and falls. And is he within? Yes, he's within reach of the bear. So now the bear, after they get the first guy, swipes, and I should be rolling for the bear too, although kind of, yeah. And the bear hits this other guy and just rips him open. And suddenly, the 2 guys that are wrestling each other, trying to get position to push them towards the bear, they are like grappling. They're in close range. There is suddenly this huge crunch, and you look over and you see that the bear moved into this center area and has bitten down on both. This is how big this fucking thing is. Bitten down on both of them as they are wrestling.
Sled's involved.
Pick them up, and the crowd starts screaming. The chain came loose. Yeah, this was the one on the side that Sled was in. This thing is now loose, and it is just shaking, and you see blood just spraying in huge arcs back and forth, and the bear rears up and is just tearing, shredding these bodies. And the thing looks like it's probably about 15, 16 feet tall. Absolutely massive, just huge. And then comes back down on all fours, and it's just tearing into and now eating these 2 that it just killed. And the other, what is this?
That's everyone.
There's one other guy. There's one guy other than Sled looking in the center, and he looks at you. He looks at them, and he lunges towards you. And what do? He has a short sword, no shield, nothing else. You still have your axe.
I'm gonna chuck the axe at him because it's a hand axe.
Roll a d20.
11.
11. And you're okay. You hit him with the axe. Roll a d4.
That is a 2.
So the axe does hit him, glances off, and he stumbles briefly, and he's bleeding, but he still has the sword. And the rest of you, Bjorn in particular, now notices that Sled is, remember, he's a thief, so this is tough, but the roll was pretty fucking impressive. He is managing to climb this rough wall on the opposite side.
Okay.
So he is near the top.
All
right
right.
Now, everybody is freaking out. The people are starting to run from the stands as this bear has gotten loose. Some of the bards and the musicians have fled. There are some of the caravan people, guards now, and some of the Jarl's guards with spears kind of standing around just trying to think, well, what the hell do we do? This thing is massive. And while all of this is happening, what? Oh shit! The guy with the short sword does manage to land. Oh fuck! 6 points of damage. Manages to land. You know what? Let's see where it is. Really deep cut on Sigismund's left thigh. It comes down across with that sword. So that is 6 points of damage he manages.
Can Ulfer get down to the wall of the pit and cast a spell?
If you want to, absolutely.
All right, cool. So Ulfer is going to have his spell components ready. He's going to do the spell from his memory because it affords him and the victim more damage. I can affect more damage that way. If I do hit and no saving throw takes place as far as it's saving, it's a full 96 points of damage. So this will be a fireball centered on that bear. So I'm going to scream, "Get away from the bear," and then get into casting mode and fuego.
Okay. Roll for damage.
All right, so 96. This is going to be delicious. Let me get all my 9s or 6-liners. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7, 8. Let me take my glasses off because I can see better. All right, so 4 and 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 18, 4. All right, so the total is 34 points of damage full. If the bear makes its save, it takes half of that.
Did not make it save. So 36?
34.
34. Okay. So this fireball just lights this bear up, and this leather, the armor that the thing is covered in, is now flaming, and the bear is just, thrashing about, and it bolts for the opposite side. It barrels over the other bear, knocks it aside, and its harness tears, and it comes loose too. And now this flaming, burning bear has climbed over the far wall.
Flaming burning bear.
Also, yeah, the flaming and holy fuck.
That's a new tavern. We're gonna with our money. It's called the Flaming Burning Bear.
As it was doing that too, it barreled over and just crushed. Come on, focus. It crushed the prisoner with the short sword that had attacked Sigismund.
I was hoping that wouldn't happen in the carnage.
It missed Sigismund by like that much.
All right.
So you just managed to drop and roll out of the way of this. Stop, drop.
That is a magic user's bless. There you go. That's how I bless.
So now you have a giant flaming bear in the crowd over on the east side, and it is just the spectators who did not move out fast enough. Some of the elderly and are now being just.
It's collateral damage.
How far is the bear from where Sled is climbing out?
So Sled was climbing out on the opposite side. Sled was going out over on the west side, and everybody is in a panic. And once again, Bjorn notices that the cloak that Sled was wearing was now discarded. So he must have taken somebody else's stuff. The guards, the caravan guards, and some of the Jarl's men are now trying to prod this flaming giant bear with the spears, and it is just kind of batting them away as it is now just chewing on what it looks to be like half of an old lady. It's just this thing is feasting now, and the other bear is coming right at Sigismund, the only live survivor in this pit. So Dane, Bjorn, Sigismund, everybody seeing this. What is Sigismund is like right there, so we'll have him go first. But also, what is everybody else doing? So starting with Sigismund.
So, saying that the burning bear like climbed down, like left crushed the wall and stuff.
The burning one went to the opposite side, and this is a bear. Yes, it's a giant flaming bear. And it's the walls are like 20 feet high. These things are like 15, 16 feet tall. It managed to jump up and then crawl out of this thing. These things were only being kept there by the chains and harnesses. So, and while this is happening,
you're definitely the winner of this. So,
somebody also started a fire on the opposite side.
That would be Sled.
Mm-hmm.
We need to crush that insect.
That may be par for the course with him. So now you have a fire on the opposite side, and so on the west, the stands are on fire. On the east, you have a giant flaming bear chewing on half of an elderly woman as the guards are trying to force it back into the pit with their spears. And you have another giant leather spike armored bear. It just sounds weirder and weirder the more I say it.
It's your fetish, Drew, not ours. So you just go, you be you.
We're just rolling with it.
So we basically have a giant flaming bear in spiked leather.
A flaming burning bear.
All right, yeah, this is.
Or for Drew, just another weekend in Miami.
It's Rob Halford. No.
Yeah. All right. I guess my question to Dane is, which do you want, the flaming bear or Sled?
Well, can we see Sled? Or, I mean, I assume that he's just made himself scarce. So I'm not, how far am I from the flaming bear?
You are probably about 30, 40 feet. You could get there pretty quickly.
All right. So I'm going after the bear.
I'll go after Sled since I probably have the best chance of spotting him.
That makes most sense to me. I also, I haven't forgotten that some bookie owes me some money.
There
All the
are
while, Sigismund's yelling, "Hey, you guys want your money? Get me out of here!"
So
I'm gonna. Ulfer will throw him a rope, tie it off on one of the bleacher struts, and throw down a rope.
okay, so there's a lot of corpses. That works in your favor because the bear that is still in there is now feeding on some of the corpses. It is watching you, but it doesn't seem to be particularly, bothered right now. But it does have something in its mouth, and it's like, it's watching. So attack it.
Climb up the rope.
Climb the rope.
I'm running for the rope.
All right. 25-foot run. What is your agility?
I know in the stuff that I was reading.
Or dexterity, 14? All right, that's not bad. Roll a d20.
Three.
That's good.
Okay. As you begin running, the bear begins bounding after you too. And just as you get to the rope, it swipes and it misses. So, actually, I guess now it goes to Dane. Dane, are you running over?
I'm running towards the flaming bear.
Okay.
So I'm going to attack it with my two-handed. My sword gets +6 versus fire. Does that apply to a bear that's on fire?
It wouldn't apply because it's not a fire creature.
I had to ask.
Makes sense.
It's otherwise +3 Frost Baron. So
Still pretty fucking awesome.
all right, so I'm going to attack the bear.
All right.
The flaming bear.
The flaming burning bear.
You forgot the leather
All right.
armor.
And the leather armor. Write that down,
with the
Guzzler.
bondage armor.
Yes.
The giant flaming bear in spiked leather armor.
Right. Yeah. I think I saw one of those when I was last in Northern California.
Was he with Aaron?
Potentially.
Was it Aaron?
It could have been.
He does
Probably.
like to walk.
Hey,
I rolled a 17.
Hikes.
Oh, okay. So that hits. Roll for damage.
All right, it's a D10. Find the dice here.
It's a D10 and you get a +3 on it.
Yeah, and I rolled a natural 10, so it's a total of 13.
Nice. All right. As you move in and cut this bear, the sword just goes through that armor like butter and goes deep through its sides, through its ribs, and you feel the slightest bit of resistance as you nick some bone and go through some harder tissues, but it just cuts a 2-foot deep gash right through the side of this thing's torso, and pink frothy blood starts spurting out from this gap. Obviously you've went through a lung or something, and the bear starts to sort of stumble over these wooden benches and spits out the half of this body and turns, and it's looking at you, but it's really sort of wobbling now. And actually, the bear doesn't do shit yet because Bjorn still has to go. Sorry, but it is really badly hurt. It is bleeding. It's still on fire. It is in super bad shape.
All right. All right. If I have an opportunity to go, I am obviously trying to get over to Sled and over to where he was and see if I can find the little bastard. And
I'm following Bjorn. Ulfer's not far behind Bjorn.
okay. Ulfer's watching my. Yeah, Ulfer's watching my back as usual. So,
Yep.
And I'm just kind of pushing through the crowd with my hammer in my right hand and my shield in my left. So, just kind of parting through the waves. Are you able to hear me, Drew?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was just making sure I wasn't. So yeah, I'm looking for Sled.
You don't notice him anywhere now.
Okay. Bastard.
Piece of shit.
We find him, we make him basilisk based.
Yeah.
You do know.
I'm gonna have Carl stab him.
You do see where he left his cloak, though.
Okay.
Maybe use a tracking thing spell.
Can Carl sniff him out?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Maybe.
All right, I'll pick up the cloak and hand it to Ulfer.
All right, Carl's on my shoulder as usual, and but I'll for now. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Carl, sniff this and find Bloodface.
I'm not sure if he can do that from scent.
Make some shit up.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Just
gonna
roll
do.
with it.
Roll. If I'm ever not absolutely certain of something, I'll check the rules later. But I'll just roll it. I'll just think of what is a reasonable percentage, and I'll roll a percentage dice and do that.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
Carl flies up over the crowd. He's circling, and you seeing through Carl's eyes, you just see people still running through the city. You see more guards that are approaching, and it is chaos. Just a lot of people running away, and he does not notice anybody that stands out that would appears to be
Sled.
Can't differentiate Sled. Again, Sled ditched his cloak and probably took somebody else's garments. And he is a thief of some considerable talent, despite now not
Got
having
some
that
skill.
right hand.
Right,
He is
anyway.
a skilled thief, and so disguise, being unseen, blending into the crowds, especially at night, because it was just after sundown when all of this started, and it's a little bit later right now. So there's still a good amount of moonlight. You can see what's going on. There's torch lights throughout the city, lanterns, but he cannot make out where Sled might be. Again, it's just too much chaos. Everybody, most of the town were the village, city, a large percentage were there, and they're just running now.
All right.
It was a pretty big thing, even around the outside of where this pit was, where the main entertainment was. There were also little stands with food, and of course, all of the vendors from town came out to trade and sell wares and everything. So they really set up a big, almost like a festival on the north side of Jorvik.
I'll keep Carl in the skies, as it were, just watching out. He knows what to look for, but obviously have him follow us. Just guard the perimeter.
Now this bear, you are at, or Sigismund is at the rope. The bear just swiped and actually the bear has 3 attacks. I've been forgetting to do this. The bear missed. So now, what does Sigismund do?
He starts climbing up the rope as fast as possible.
As fast as possible. It is only about 20 feet to the top. I'm gonna say you make it to the top before this bear is able to attack again, but it now starts climbing as well. And it just hops up and starts pulling itself up, not too far from where you went over. So now you have the one flaming bear that's pretty bad shape over on the east side, and now where all of you are, and you're on the north side of town. This is the south side. This is facing out of the city, New York. So this thing is right up front by where you and the Jarl, and the Jarl's men, they've already got him and his wife and dogs and everybody that came with him. They're already moving him back, but he has left a significant contingent of his guard there too to help deal with it. So they are now also gathering around with spears, trying to get this bear back into this pit. And as this is happening, the carnival barker, the leader of all of this, seems to be in absolute despair. He's furious, and he is approaching Ulfr and says something about, I'm ruined. Who was that man? And he is just pointing to where the to the west side where Sled had gone in. So now he's gone. The bear has climbed. It is back to, oh shit, we have the ranger. So I don't know how much you have caught with all of everything going on, but Galdor has just come back with all of this mead and roast rabbit and goat and some cheese and fruits. He's back with his concessions.
What did I miss,
the whole
guys?
place is in chaos. So I don't know how much you caught.
Stepped out to take a piss and get snacks.
There was a pit fight, and you and some of the others had wandered off to get food and more mead. And these giant bears that were released out of these cages that were chained, that were supposed to be contained in the pit, have managed to get out. And it's Sled's fault, mostly. Later, Bjorn observed most of this, and he can tell you what happened. But there is a giant bear in spiked leather armor that is on fire on one side of the stands. There's people fleeing in terror. There's another giant bear in spiked leather armor that is right within a few feet of where all of you are standing now that you've come up and see this. And the guards are all around. They've got their spears. They're trying to get these things back in the pit, but massive bears, huge reach, huge claws. They're making very short work of everybody.
All right.
So we'll have you go first because now you're back. So you got your meat, you get your food, and you see this giant bear attacking all these people. So what do you do?
Well, I'm going to use a druidic spell, which I have access to now, and we're going to cast Animal Friendship.
Oh, fuck. All right.
I see the gimp bear, and I want to make friends with the gimp bear.
Oh, the one that's on fire and badly bleeding. All right.
I mean, I'm about to finish off that one. I don't know.
The other one. I want the other one, not the one that's on fire. Just the other one.
The most healthy of the two bears.
Most healthy of the two bears.
The one that's not almost dead. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's calling it the gimp because you put him in bondage gear.
Yeah, you put him in bondage gear. Come on.
The one that went after Sigismund.
Wanted to make the armor a little bit better, make him a little tougher challenge. But
while also increasing the homoeroticism. Not a bad deal.
It's Drew's milieu. It's what he
gotta
wants.
Get that Aaron Clary audience. So no, I shouldn't make fun of it, but it's easy to.
Why not? We all do.
All right. So casting Animal Friendship. What do we need to do here?
I think you just cast it. Shit. What is? You know what? Animal Friendship. What does the spell say?
I'm looking for it.
Too many.
What level spell is it first?
It's a level. It's a first level.
All right. Level 1 range is listed as 1 inch. So since we're outdoors,
feet.
Yeah. Actually, yards outside, inside is feet. So
Feet inside, yards outside.
yeah, and casting time is 6 turns. Saving throw will negate it. Explanation description. By means of this spell, the druid is able to show any animal which is at least animal intelligence, but not above semi-intelligent, that the druid is disposed to be its friend. If the animal does not make its saving throw versus magic immediately, when the spell begins, it will stand quietly while the druid finishes the spell. Thereafter, it will follow the druid about, and he or she can teach it 3 specific tricks or tasks for each point of intelligence it possesses. Typical tasks are those that are taught to a dog or similar pet. So
okay, so it takes 6 rounds to cast it.
6 turns.
6 turns.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's not good.
But once it takes that long to complete the spell. But like I said, once you start casting it, Drew rolls the saving throw. If the beast makes the saving throw, then it continues to do whatever it's going to do. If, however, it fails its saving throw, it will stop what it's doing and stand there till you complete the spell.
That sounds fair. Let's give that a shot.
It failed its saving throw.
All right. So he's basically immobile, and
it stopped trying to attack the guards, and it's now just kind of sitting back on its haunches, and it's just kind of looking at you, just staring, not aggressively, not passively. You can't really tell. It just has this blank bear look on its face. It's just sitting there looking at you as you finish to cast the spell. And 6 turns?
It takes.
What is it? 10 rounds per turn, and each round is a minute.
1 turn is 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so six.
Yeah,
turns,
that's literally how long it takes, and the animal just stands there. I'm just reading what the book says. It's
okay, but at the end of this, Galdor's going to have a kick-ass pet, right?
Yes,
I'm gonna have me a big old gimp bear pet. I'm happy with that.
So the ranger is busy.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm now out of the fight. I'm busy. I'm busy charming an animal.
He's neutralized the bear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish.
He's standing there with a piece of mistletoe in one hand and food in the other, and doing this,
chugging some meat at the same time.
Right.
It's all good.
You got to name the bear Marcellus or something when we're done.
It's all the food you're holding that's got its attention.
Yeah, he's enraptured with my hot dog and mead.
Yes, this thing is massive.
Is that code word for something?
If it is, if you can imagine how big a polar bear is, now imagine something like 50-something% taller, like 15, 16 feet standing up. So this thing is just absolutely on its hind legs from foot to head. Just a massive.
I will name him Paddington. Actually, that's not true. I will name him something else.
And this carnival barker, ringmaster, MC, whatever, looks absolutely stunned. He is just completely in awe of all of this. But before we get back to him, what is Dane doing with this other? Actually, the other bear has to attack Dane first. So it swipes and misses with the first claw, and it swipes and misses with the second claw. And I think this bear is in bad shape and its rolls suck. It attempts to bite Dane and it misses. It just barely glances off his shiny golden codpiece without doing any damage. So this bear tried, but it is pretty close to being dead. So
almost got blown by a bear. Almost. I'm going to attack and finish it off. I just rolled a 15 for my attack roll, and for my damage, I rolled a 9 +3.
So with just real quick flourish. Sword comes around and through this bear's neck, the head, massive fucking bear head, just falls and rolls towards some of the guards, and the body just falls over. The thing is still burning, though. This whatever they use to treat this leather is highly, highly flammable. So this thing is still on fire. Some of the people are starting to come now that the thing is dead with water and other liquids and throwing it on it. And some of the people that did not completely take off were just kind of hanging out. Now you see they're going and picking up, other coins and other stuff that people dropped. Somebody's going through the garments, looking for valuables on some of the other bodies. It is still a little bit chaotic. The guards are trying to restore some sort of order, but the whole thing is just the guards for the caravan are just kind of standing around now looking at this other bear that is just there, not doing anything, and watching Galdor, and they're kind of looking back and forth between Galdor and this ringmaster, and this ringmaster, or Carnival Bark or whatever, comes up to Ulfr and Bjorn and says, who was that man? He ruined me. And he said, it points to Bjorn, the one that was pushed in the pit. I saw you watching him. You must know something about who that is.
All right. I will tell him the thief's name and a little bit about his background and the fact that he is very much a miscreant, ne'er-do-well, and
He's a piece of
trouble
shit.
and disaster follows wherever he goes, and that we are most certainly looking for him, and when and if we find him, we will be bringing him to justice before the Jarl.
Did you describe everything that happened to Sled in explaining this?
I tell him
Briefly.
what he needs to know as far as what he looks like, a little bit about his reputation, the fact that he is a thief of some skill despite
And has one hand.
yeah.
When you describe the curse, that gets his attention.
Mhm.
And he looks at you and he says, I could make a lot of gold with a freak like that. The ass-faced thief. People would pay to see that. If you bring him to me alive and unharmed, I will
As
pay you.
unharmed as he can be.
Well, certainly, I think the Jarl would recognize that he owes you, by Dane law, he owes you a debt, and I am sure that the Jarl will be more than willing to
Recompense.
He is more valuable to me alive. Nothing that he could pay me would be worth as much as what I could make displaying him in my carnival. I want him alive. And he's going to make me my money back, and I'm going to make him suffer for what he has done. And he looks over at the bear and he says, and if you help me, the bear is yours.
What?
Take it.
What?
I want him alive.
well, we first and foremost
we're taking the bear either way. Let's just be clear here. One of the bears just killed a bunch of people, so you're not really in a position to negotiate.
Yeah,
but we don't want this ass clown running around any more than you do. So we'll take the
clown. That shall be his name. That will be how I sell him. He is the ass clown. That is perfect.
And
I can think of no more fitting sentence than to be paraded around and humiliated for the rest of his days.
Did you say his name was Sled?
That's his
Yes.
nickname.
Nickname, yeah.
Sled the Ass Clown. See the ass-faced clown. 5 silver pieces.
You could probably do
I could
10.
even have him.
I'd do 10.
10?
To be honest with you, I would go with 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and
silver
just
pieces.
imagine what you could do with him for 20 gold.
And
Because
here's
20 gold is 20 gold.
20 gold is 20 gold. And I suggest this. We're gonna wind up catching him. If I don't set him on fire, we'll give him over to you. However, we want 20% of all the take off of the ass clown.
We are going to be traveling.
I don't
We don't
care.
stay in any one place.
You just
I could
hold on
set
to
it
it.
aside.
Set it aside, and then every year we'll come back. And meet with the Jarl for our yearly meeting. You meet with him as well to plan the entertainment. You hand over the money to us then.
You have a deal.
Fantastic.
Sled the ass-faced clown is going to earn all of us a lot of money.
There
all
you
this
go.
money to go.
I know some
What about my freedom?
nobles with some interesting and unique tastes that would probably pay more than 20 gold for some time alone with that freak.
We'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just 20% of the house take, as it were.
You are going to want to buy yourself a larger chest because you're going to need it for all the
We're
money
gonna
to
open up a new tavern, I think. So
new tavern.
new tavern in town. Yeah. It's gonna be called the Burning Bear. Right there you go.
A sad reminder of this evening, but this loss could lead to even greater riches.
Absolutely.
Once you have captured him.
Correct.
And if you can't capture him alive, if you must kill him,
You could always stuff him and still display him. Yeah.
there is that.
You won't get as much money, but
Make it as slow and painful as possible.
that's the idea. So we're gonna spit in our hands and shake hands with the Barker on the 20% of the house take, if we obviously get a hold of him.
He gives you his name and tells you where they usually are at different times, but he says that we will be back here in Jorvik about this time next year.
All right, fantastic. Well,
So we are heading south, though, in a few days after we tend to our wounded and dead and clean this up. So if you do catch him, please send word, and every week or so I will send a rider back north. Will you be in Jorvik?
we may. We have some other obligations to complete, but I'm trying to think. We have a home base. Bjorn, do we have a? I forget. Do we have a home base at one of the taverns or with the Jarl?
Basically, our home base is the Temple of Thor.
That's right. That's right. All right. So make out any correspondence to the Temple of Thor.
It will be done.
Fantastic.
I look forward to a very profitable business venture with all of you.
Absolutely. That's really what it's all about, is the networking here at in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
And he looks like he's pretty well off based on his dress, and so he's probably not completely ruined by this. But
Okay. No, he'll make his money back.
it's a setback. It's a setback.
Yeah.
Lost a couple wagons, lost a couple cave bearers. Nothing he can't
Siglin
replace.
wants to know about his freedom.
Of course. And apologies for the unnecessary roughness. Business is business. You know how it is. Now, keep in mind, Sigismund, that this guy actually sends men out to villages in like remote areas and to, well, capture people. Usually, though, it is prisons. They will go to prisons and they will pay for the prisoners. They will say, hey, you get a bunch of people in the dungeon. We'll give you this many gold for each prisoner you give us. And hey, if they've got years and years on their sentence anyways, why not? So it's not exactly the most lawful good type. But so I don't know if you maybe want to kill him or not. I'm not going to suggest anything, but he is a bit of a bastard too. But he says, yes, you are free. And good show. I particularly liked it when you stomped that dwarf's head in. It was a bit obnoxious.
I just turn around and start walking towards the rest of the guys, ignoring him.
All right, so we'll kind of eyeing you up and down like we're a little wary, but we think you're a good dude. So
I look at you, the mage, and I'm like, for a mage, you're not half bad. Barbarians.
You'd be surprised at how often I hear that. Well, welcome to the Brotherhood, as it were. We need to get you some accoutrements, some armor, and some decent weapons.
I need to find the bookie that I made the bet with.
Yeah, I wonder if he ran off.
I want my money. Did he get eaten by a bear?
How much did you? Yeah, right. How much did you bet?
I don't know. How much do I have? I mean,
we got a lot of money.
Yeah, we have a lot of money, so we're going to assume that I prudently wouldn't have wagered more than half of it.
Yeah.
But knowing that we had the fix in, it would have been at least that much.
I'm going to say, Drew, we probably wagered about 500 gold, at least.
The bookie is nowhere to be seen.
That son of a bitch.
So, but you would know him if you saw him. He probably took off when everything started.
He took off with 500 of our gold.
Oh, more than that. I mean, what were the odds here? I mean, when you're betting on one guy among 16, you've got to be getting at least 3-1.
Well, I didn't delve into the all the money and jewels that I have in the bag of holding. I didn't do that. But our walking around money, which came to about 500 gold or so, I gave over.
Well, the point is, somebody owes me money.
Correct.
Carl would probably be able to spot him.
All right, I'm gonna telepathically talk to Carl and say, "Hey, look, Carl, the bookie. You remember him? I want you to find him if you point him out, and if he's still in the crowd."
Okay, so, fuck. Carl flies around for a bit, follows the largest group of people that are walking, and he recognizes the bookie, and the bookie is carrying what appears to be a substantial sack with shoulder straps.
Yeah, he is.
And hold on a second. And he notices something else. There is somebody that appears to be walking through the crowds and keeping pace with the bookie, despite walking with a subtle limp.
Well, we know who that Gamp is.
Carl looks more closely, comes down to one of the rooftops, and he notices that this man is kind of keeping his right arm close in and using his left to kind of push his way through the crowd.
Someone's dog snoring.
Mine aren't in here.
No.
Mine's way over there, and she's not snoring.
No. Is that or someone's
So-
choking a chicken?
No.
TJ's not with us right now, is he?
No.
Oh.
Ouch.
That's right. He quit. He quit.
He quit them all.
He's got to get back in the game.
I know, right? All right, so I'm going to
After he
relay
reads the manual.
exactly the 2 pages of the Ranger. So So I see this. I'm kind of astonished actually, but I will relay this back to. I motioned to Dane and everybody huddle up, gentlemen, because Carl has just. How far? And before I do this, how far away is this?
They are just a few streets down now. Again, the crowds have slowed down a little bit now that there isn't as much panic. And the last thing that Carl sees is this bookie goes in through the back, goes through an alley. It goes through the back of an establishment that it looks like it's the back of Freya's Bounty is the name of the inn.
All right,
And,
gentlemen. Carl has found 2 things. 2 birds with 1 stone. 2 Carls with 1 stone. So, we have Sled gimping along after the bookie. And the bookie just went into an alleyway into Freya's, what was that? Bounty?
Freya's Bounty is the name of
Freya's
this.
Bounty Inn, about 2 or 3 blocks outside of this entertainment area. I suggest we move our asses.
Galdor still
Can the
has
dragon,
50 minutes of enchanting, casting the spell on this
Well,
giant.
he's gonna have to remain here.
Can the dragon sting and paralyze one of them?
He
So we're
can
not
if
two people.
he can, but it depends on how far away it is because I'm starting to lose the telepathic and the vision now because it's over 2 or 3 blocks. It's only so many feet. So I whenever Carl starts feeling the connection being broken, his instructions are to fly back to me.
It is just a little bit outside of that.
All right. So yeah, if they went inside, I don't want Carl getting hurt trying to find these guys inside the inn.
So is Carl still watching?
He can watch on a rooftop outside of Freya's until we get there.
After the bookie goes in, Sled creeps along, or what you assume to be Sled, and this person is disguised, and again, Carl's looking from above, and he has a hood pulled low over his face. He does have a mask covering everything other than his eyes, so all you can see is this, and
Yeah.
Carl can't get a good enough look under the hood or the cowl to see the burn scars.
Gotcha. No,
But
chances
he
are-
notices, he looks back and forth, walks down the alley a little way, takes a torch out, and snubs it out on the ground and rubs it out in the dirt so that the alley is now pretty dark. Carl can still see in the dark, doesn't affect Carl's vision, but he darkens the alley, goes back to the door, and you can see him now messing around with the lock on the back of the door. And he does this he does it for just a few seconds. And then you see the door slowly begin to open.
All right. Carl has noticed that I'm looking through his eyes so I can see this. Sled has lock-picked his way into the back of Freya, so I suggest we get moving, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to head out of this arena. We're going to we can't really do anything with Galdor. He's going to have to catch up to us. Otherwise, it's going to break the bond he has and the connection with this bear that he apparently wants to keep. So we don't want to interrupt that.
So, while Galdor is enthralling, casting a spell on this giant cave bear, the guards are just sitting around watching with the spears. As you're starting to walk away, one of the guards asks all of you, what is he doing? Is this safe? Is this temporary? Is this bear just
It's
charmed?
it's magical. He has to complete the spell, which will be soon. We're gonna leave now, but keep an eye on him for us. It'll be safe.
Should we kill it?
No, this bear will be relatively tame and under our friend Galdor's control. Galdor is a forest ranger who knows his business. Who knows his business with the woodland animals. Not in a biblical sense, but you know what I mean. He knows how to take care of animals. And
we've
and
known they're strange types, but yes, they're not like goblins.
No, not like a goblin you'd want to kill, but this bear is, it was really kind of goaded into being hostile. So this the spell and the gentle ministrations by this noble ranger will have the bear quite friendly.
He could teach it to hunt.
He could, many things.
But we don't need to kill it.
No, don't kill it. Don't kill it. But what I do need you to do, we're going to leave now. And in fact, I look at a non-existent watch. We have to move quickly to catch up with some friends of ours that we have to take care of and do business with. So we would take it as a kindness. And I'm going to hand over. I'm going to give him a few silver pieces. Keep an eye on our ranger friend here until he's finished with his spell to placate and befriend this bear. Can I count on you for that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.
And he shares the coins, pass around to some of the other guards, and they form a perimeter around Galdor, facing out, just holding their spears relaxed now, not worrying too much about the barrels. A couple of them cast some nervous glances back. So it's still a little bit chaotic. People have dropped valuables. There's some people are now going down into the pit because, again, when Sled was thrown in there, all the stuff that he had started going out, and the guards are going and trying to get some of that as well. So it's calming down, but it's still a little chaotic. The people that had the stands, they're gathering up their goods. They're like, okay, we're done here. So it's probably not quite 10 or so, and it's getting a little bit darker, getting a little bit cooler. No rain, but there's a wind starting to come in, and you see people starting to go inside in the various taverns. It's starting to quiet down a little bit, and you're making your way to Freya's Bounty, following what you remember from seeing through Carl's eyes.
Yes.
And do you approach from the front? Do you go around to the back to the alley?
That's a good question. Bjorn, what do you think?
I think we should do half and half. Like, I'll go around to the front door and make sure, since we saw him sneaking in the back.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go watch the front door.
All right. Bjorn, is that good? You think that's a good idea? We just kind of, even though splitting the party isn't the best, I think in this case it might be worth a shot.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
But keep an eye on the windows, because he might do that despite being a backdoor man.
Literally on his face.
Literally in this case.
Yeah.
So, I guess Ulfer and I will head around the back and try to be a little bit more quiet about things and see if we can follow his trail, especially since Ulfer has his connection there. And especially if Dane has the front door, and I'm assuming AJ's going with him.
Sigismund, you're going to help Dane, or are you going to maybe guard one of the larger windows?
I'll guard wherever you want me to guard. I just want to smash that guy in the face for letting those bears out.
Right.
Well, as you are making your way towards the front of the tavern, as Dane and Sigismund We're going to the front of the tavern. You notice it is, pretty modest establishment, or appears to be so from the outside, but well made. A lot of iconography and paintings on the wall related to Freya and the harvest, and the smells coming from inside are just mouth watering. Rich mead and wine smells, and you can't even tell quite what meats are roasting, but it smells like meat, stew, fresh baked bread. The place just, you're getting hungry just walking up to this. You just outside, you can just, it's like walking past a bakery and a barbecue and everything all at the same time. So the place smells amazing, and you can see there is, a huge hearth down the middle. They've got a bunch of spits with several wenches, turning them with all sorts, like rabbits, boar, huge legs of lamb, and just goats, everything on here. There are other serving wenches bringing out trays covered with cheeses and breads, and it's pretty busy. A lot of people filling the place. You don't notice anybody that looks like the bookie inside the front, though. In the back, the door was slightly ajar.
Okay.
You don't hear anything from inside, and there is just a faint candlelight. Do you go in?
Carefully, cautiously. Obviously, I have
Yeah.
no thieving abilities, but yeah, I'm gonna slowly open the door and keep a very hawkish eye out to look for any potential ambush.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
So I hand you a potion.
Mm-hmm.
I say, if you drink this, you become invisible.
Okay.
And I can cast invisibility on myself. And then we can at least move around as quietly as we can, but unseen.
I like that idea.
Yes, until we can get that piece of shit. There's two pieces of shit, really.
Mm-hmm.
Dual shits.
That definitely works for me.
All right, so I hand you the unstopper, the invisibility potion, and hand it over to you. Should take effect pretty quickly. And I'm going to cast the invisibility spell on myself.
As you make your way in, the candlelight is pretty dim, but you can make out this back area appears to be some sort of storage. There's barrels, shelves lined with sacks and little jars and boxes of spices, wheels of cheese, all sorts of containers. And on the floor, you see the body of the bookie. Not the sack that he was carrying.
His
And
substantial
his
sack.
throat he's in a huge pool of blood.
We're going to try
and
to avoid that
his-
pool of blood.
His throat slit, cut so far back it's almost like right to the spine. I mean, it was just opened.
Hey, Bubba.
And so he is very much dead, but still a little warm. So he has not been dead very long.
So beyond my ability to do anything to cure him, so I won't waste time with that. But
Yep.
did Sled leave any noticeable, at least by my reckoning of noticeable?
Yeah, did he step in the blood?
Yeah, I mean anything that I can see that like where he might have wiped it off on something, or get the
No,
general
but
direction he
there
went.
is more in the corner.
Okay.
What you assume was probably one of the serving wenches is basically tied by her wrists to one of the hooks in the ceiling that they most likely use to hang some of the meat from. And she has a cord very tightly wound around her neck and knotted, and her feet are bound, and she is pretty badly bruised up and completely undressed. And by her feet, you see Ulfer recognizes some of the clothing that what looked like Sled was wearing. And Bjorn detects that she is not completely dead, but very close to it.
Okay. I will tell Ulfer, watch my back, and I will immediately move over. Am I allowed to do spell things? This is an invisibility potion, not a spell, so it's not going to be dispelled if I do anything.
You're not really attacking, so.
No, I'm just going to cast a Cure Light Wounds on her.
If you're not as far as I remember, if you don't attack, that doesn't end the spell. The invisibility spell ends when you attack something. Mm-hmm. So if you're casting a spell, but it is not an offensive spell, I'll say stay invisible.
Okay. That is what I'm going to do. I am going to move over and cure her wounds, and then make a mental note to discuss the not work with Ulfer later, as far as how amateurish it was compared to what he would have done.
I can already see it's just not good.
It is pretty tightly around her neck, but it wasn't quite enough to kill her, at least not yet. But eventually, she would have slowly choked to death on this. So he left her tied up in a way that she didn't die right away, but she was going to slowly.
Well, I will eliminate the cord around her neck, but as to the rest of her being tied up, she's just going to have to stay that way for now, because we've got too much else going on.
Perfect timing. She starts gasping and choking when you remove the cord that was knotted around her neck, and it's just trying to catch air, and she's trying to talk to you, but she's also just bawling and can't seem to get any words out, and then just starts screaming hysterically. She is just in a complete fucking panic.
I tell her to quiet herself. She will not be visiting Hell this day. And she has Thor to thank for that.
Okay, she stops screaming, and she just starts quietly sobbing at this point until
I look over. I like, can you stop that caterwauling and tell us which way your
tormentor or attacker
went?
She said she never saw him. She came back to get more cheese and bread. And when she came through the door, she saw this man dead on the floor and blood just pouring out of his neck. And she said when she knelt down to check on him, she felt a cord wrap around her neck from behind, and she heard a distant voice whisper to not make a sound, but she couldn't because of the cord. And she said that she remembers his breath smelled like shit, and he smelled like sour sweat and filth. But she never got a look at him. He tied the cord around her neck. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't make any noise. And then he stripped her of her clothes, hung her from the meat hook, brutalized her, and disappeared. She said she didn't even hear him leave.
Chances are, because Carl was watching the door, he did not leave the building through the back door. And if our friends are
Her clothes
still
are
up front,
all gone. His clothes he was wearing, other than his face covering.
so there's a possibility he's wearing her clothes.
And knowing Sled, this is not the first time he's dressed as a woman.
Yeah, it's not inconceivable. This is a standard
He is
thing.
a master disguise.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so I think we should stop here with this beautiful suspense. And we'll
He's
tell you
got
what
your
we're going to
money.
do. Yeah, he's got. There's a reckoning happening with this piece of shit. So
Is becoming quite the villain.
Is Carl
Yeah.
still watching him, or is
He's-
Carl able to go after him or fly ahead of us?
Carl's watching the back door, and I don't think he left. Otherwise, Carl would have said something.
Okay.
So my surmise is he is still in this inn,
Okay.
and if he's
Give me a couple
wearing
more
the
minutes. I'll bring a bear to track him down.
there you go, and if he's wearing wench clothing, he's probably pretending to do. Knowing Claren of Clan Ari, he is definitely dressed as a wench and stealing people's money while pretending to serve them. So I suggest we head into the common room
Okay.
and then work our way through there and see what we can find. And I think we should probably leave it there. But that's what we're going to do for next time.
All right, so when we pick up next time, you and Bjorn, or Ulfr and Bjorn, coming from the back, and it's just getting weirder and weirder. Dane and Sigismund coming into the inn from the front
Mm-hmm.
and you guys have to let them know what you found to search for Sled in the main ale house.
Dressed as
area.
a very ugly serving wench.
Actually, the serving wench was a relatively young and attractive maiden.
Well, if he's wearing her clothing, he's
But
not a
he
young and
wouldn't be.
attractive maiden. You're correct,
No.
yes.
It's a
Quite the
burnt,
opposite.
ass-faced clown.
Fucking Mr. Crispy.
Mr. Crispy, that could be one of his
All right. So excellent. So
nicknames.
Wow.
good game.
Good game. Good game.
Very good game.
Nobody died today. Or
Nobody
none
died.
Of the PCs, none of the PCs died.
Well, none of the PCs, some other NPCs died, and we have a new member. So
I need
welcome
to. I need
AJ to. And we have a bear. We have a bear.
Yeah, I need some stats
thing.
for the bear.
We got to get some riding
One
saddles.
more thing happens for you guys to think about before the next one starts. A couple of rough-looking drunks at a table start pointing at Sigismund and say, "You cost us a lot of money."
All right. Well, what I'll do is as I hear that, I will pause and lean up against the one of the fireplaces that's in the room. I'm sure there are, and I'm going to pull out a pinch of sand and put those two assholes to sleep. So
Yeah, they don't have
He
enough
looks
hit
at the
dice.
maze in disappointment.
So that's
Mhm.
yeah.
actually I should. No, they did not make their saving throw.
All right.
Yeah,
So they're especially being drunk. They're just going to pass out as soon as the spell hits them.
All right. My question for Drew is, since he's calling these things cave bears as opposed to just the regular bears, are you going to give
Huge.
them the dire bear stats out of the monster manual or what?
These things are just, I literally pulled them out of my ass as I was thinking, what kind of monsters would make sense for this? And just came up with some stats. I've got it all written down here. I will check and see whatever it is closest to in the DMG and then make sure that whatever abilities it should have based on that, it does. But also
cave bear.
consider
Yeah.
It's
this thing
It's
has armor.
F6. I guess the Fiend Folio, page 6.
Oh, Fiend Folio, yeah.
It's not just a regular cave bear, though. you have an armored cave bear.
Well, I mean, the basic stats will be in the Fiend Folio. On
Yes,
page,
but with better AC.
page 67.
because-
Cool.
So, but of course, with the money you guys have, you could go and outfit the bear with whatever the hell you want.
Absolutely.
There are
Speaking of
craftsmen
which-
somewhere that'll be able to make armor for a giant bear if you want to pay for it.
All right, and you're gonna email us the treasure from the werewolf labyrinth.
Yes. And actually, it just occurred to me, could Galdor ride the bear? I mean, it could be a mount too.
Hell yeah.
Get a couple.
Barbarians have
things.
horsemanship. So, I don't know if bear counts as horsemanship.
It might.
Probably a little different, but
And
we'll have to see what you guys want to do with this. But now you got a bear. No, not just a bear, a huge cave bear.
I'll have to share the picture with you, but one of the last Mythic Legion figures that they've released, the mount in the last set is a giant bear, which is like as big as the troll figures that were released for those night figures I occasionally post on Twitter. So I'll have to send you the picture of the barbarian riding the cave bear.
Hot damn. Yes.
So
That'd be cool to paint.
I'm
Yeah.
on board.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm
Notice
just
I
thinking
didn't
this
say
is
I'm
going
on
to be.
board for mounting a bear. I didn't
Yes.
say that.
Yeah, yeah. We got it. Right.
Riding it on a saddle like a
Fucking He-Man and Battle Cat.
horse. There you go. Yeah. Hey, if
Yeah.
you could get armor
Yes.
for a bear, why not a saddle? Although
Battle
I
bear.
get
You
to
get your
teach
battle
them
bear.
tricks too.
you can
Come hither,
Three.
Battle Bear.
Well, 3 per intelligence point. It's 3 per
intelligence
intelligence
is
point.
bear.
Is it?
Let's see.
Or 3 just in general?
So I will have to roll for intelligence for this thing, but it's got animal intelligence, so it's probably like 1 to 3 or something. So I'll just
Yeah.
I'll check what it is before next time. Send it in the group email so you know how many tricks you can teach your huge armored cave bear now.
I'm excited.
That's cool.
You could man, you could and again you pick whatever you want, but I just think you could teach it to restrain people. Like fetch, go and get that, or
Fetch,
stop
attack,
that person, or
track. Yep.
just
I'll
hold
have to-
hold them down.
I'll have to get a reduced spell, so if we're in the dungeon, we can bring it with us.
Oh yeah.
and shrink it down to the
Yeah.
size of a badger.
Yep. Or
You can
or just
put
a large,
it in the
a
backpack.
yeah, I know, right? Or a large bear,
Hamster.
hamster,
Yeah.
small little
I'll have to come up with a better name for him than Gimp. But
Battle-
I'm leaning toward
Battle
Gimp
Bear.
quite heavily. Battle Bear.
battle bear.
Well, what is the Norse word for bear? Is like what Bjorn? But we got
Bjorn, yeah.
It's Bjorn Bear.
Really? Bjorn is there?
Yeah.
Bjorn Bear.
Bjorn, yes, for bear.
All right,
What?
gentlemen, this has been fun as always, and welcome back as DM, Drew. It's been too long. It's been
Very
like-
excited. It has been.
The last
Yeah,
game was August.
I thought it was September. Holy crap!
I think it was August. Well, it could have been September, like around that, like right on the cusp.
Too long.
Indeed.
I'm
Indeed.
all set for it. I got my deadlifts.
I know. I see that. Fantastic. And welcome once again, AJ, as our new player.
Sigismund the Barbarian.
Sigismund.
Awesome.
Sigismund the Barbarian. Not Sigismund the Sea Monster. Sigismund the Barbarian.
Yeah.
So
Gentlemen, I sent you something on Twitter, the YouTube video for the release of the bear mount for the Mythic Legions. Bodvar the Bear is his name. So look for that in the
Perfect.
Twitter
Give you
discussion.
some ideas for
I
the
think that's
armor
dope.
and the saddle and all that.
cool.
Yeah, this bear comes with all that. So
Nice. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. Anyone listening later, no matter how long that you do listen, thank you for doing so. And as always, until next time, enjoy your weekends, and we will see you next Wednesday. Aaron Clary is gay.